morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Red for Anfield Index. It is Sunday, the 18th of January, and maybe I'm best opening in communication style, in visceral form of how the majority of Liverpool fans are feeling right now. Something along those lines. William Shakespeare, now is the winter of our discontent. Richard III, if you know your literary works, could easily be Joe in row 30 or block 305, couldn't it, Surrey, or anywhere around the stadium, anywhere outside of the ground, anyone who watches Liverpool right now. Yeah, it seems for once, maybe once actually, the fan base is pretty unanimous in how they're feeling, maybe with the odd going against the grain. We're going to get into all this anyway. I'm your host, Dave Davis, coming to you from freezing cold in Edinburgh. And it was pretty cold at the ground yesterday as well. It's just not good enough across the board, isn't it? But as we talk about Liverpool, let's have a bit of a cast over the headlines. We've got to look into some of them. We've got to talk about a game. We've got to talk about what's been said at the same time as well. So I take a couple of glances, and people are talking about Ibu Konate yesterday. Arne had a take on the boos. We're going to have to talk about that at the same time. We'll talk about what's in the ground, what happened in the ground, the noises coming out of the ground as well. Yeah, there is plenty to get into. This still seems to me like absolute madness when I look at this league. Let's go a bit wider, first of all. I don't know if this is the same for you. Liverpool are still in fourth place, despite having only won 10 of their Premier League games this season, despite having only won 5 games in their last 17, and despite having a goal difference of +4. But yesterday, it all got a little bit tighter, didn't it? Because United beat City in their derby, Chelsea beat Brentford. Brentford themselves are only now 3 points behind us. And it's so tight for us now. And ultimately, Champions League is under real threat for me. The form, the way we're playing, what others are doing or what others are starting to do. And of course, there are some basket case clubs down the table, but there's a real threat to it now. I don't think anyone can ignore that at all. And honestly, as we start to analyse yesterday, I mean, look at these stats. 72, basically 73% of possession, an XG of 3.18 to 0.4. 32 shots against their 7, 11 on target against their 1, where Marcus Edwards equalises. Now, there's part of that. Some people will look at yesterday and say, yeah, we made loads, we made certain things happen. We took a lot of shots. There's no doubts about that. You cannot argue that for 1 second. That's factual. But a lot of them were outside the box people, weren't they? A lot of them almost gave Martin Dubravka in the Burnley goal a chance to build a highlight reel, like the curlers from Gakpo, the curlers from Wirtz. They're not bad efforts, but they were pretty straightforward saves for him. Just one that's good for the camera more than anything. Liverpool didn't construct real patterns of play. Liverpool again relied on individual brilliance throughout this game. There's no two ways about it. And a few of you, and of course the word Arne Slot is going to be mentioned in the chat panel. We are going to have to talk about that a little bit. But just to be crystal clear on this, there's been reports, and I've got James Pearce's article from The Athletic on screen this morning. And here's a couple of key lines for you. Slot retains the backing of FSG, who have no plans to follow the lead of rivals Manchester United and Chelsea by making a managerial change mid-campaign. However, if he's going to stop hemorrhaging support among the fan base, he needs to find momentum and fast. There appeared to be no obvious replacement for those demanding change. That's no longer the case following Xabi Alonso's exit from Real Madrid. And that, for me, seems to be, I don't know if that is the catalyst that Xavi is now, we don't know for definite, but available, quote unquote, that seems to have changed it for everyone. Because I'm literally like a bit bemused as to how many yesterday saying, literally on various sites, platforms, X, social media, wherever, as though some people seem to wake up to this yesterday. This has been the pattern for ages, people. I genuinely cannot get my head around the way people are now sort of commenting. So it seems to have woken up everyone. It utterly bemuses me. This has been going on for ages. As Sam Maguire put like at the start of the year in that Patron, Liverpool have had a win probability rate of 48% in the Premier League this season. It was 53 during the entirety of 2025. This isn't just a blip, and it's definitely not bad luck. And people rallied against this at the time. And even like there's various tweets, let me get the right one, because he's put this out this morning as well, and it's all true. Slots went for the easier fix of flooding the midfield to make it more difficult for the opposition. Stop giving away chances. Coin flip. Yeah. There's been no balance to the team for a while. There's no clear attacking patterns of play. True. There's no clear Liverpool goal. True. We are relying on individual moments of quality. All this is true. And look at yesterday. Remove the penalty. An XG from 31 shots was 2.38 or 0.07 per shot. We didn't really create big chances against, and this is trying to be, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but Burnley are not a good team. The stats show you that at the same time. Said it after the draw with Sunderland. We aren't setting up to win. We're setting up not to lose. So honestly, I agree with all of that. I just cannot get my head around how now people are almost waking up and saying this wasn't like, it's been like this for a while. So that bit confuses me greatly, but it's all opinions and everyone's entitled to them. In terms of the games yesterday, I mean, we had bad results for rivals, so you thought, right, they've got to be on it for the off. And I didn't mind the lineup too much. I thought, yeah, 3 attackers there, and you thought about the performances of the individuals that I've got on screen. And individuals, I think, is the right way of talking about it. Arne's Slot, actually, for all the ways he's getting berated at the moment, did mention the new signings, a couple of individuals in the press conference as well. So just in case you missed this or you didn't hear it, let's just have a listen to what he said in this one. Helps if you play the right clip as well. Here we go. Here's the right one.
Frustration for me that all the development some players are going through is not being seen because the results don't show how the development of the team and individual players is. You're talking about Milos, and I completely agree. He had another good game. I saw Florian scoring another great goal, and was involved in a lot of other moments as well. Jeremy Frimpong, another good game of him. A big threat on that right side. But yeah, results don't always reflect development, and that's I would almost say another frustration because.
I mean, we used the word frustration, which is probably right for yesterday. I think it's important to say as well, because it's easy to pick over everything that went wrong, but I thought the new signings were good yesterday. Florian Wirtz was just and is just a level above everyone on the pitch. He did some magical things yesterday, especially, do you remember that bit where he sort of dribbled through and cut it back for Gakpo? I think Humphreys clears it off the line there as well. I mean, another goal. He's racking up the goal contributions, isn't he, as well? 3 chances created as dribbles. Say, 6 goal contributions in his last 7 games. He was just a different level to everyone on the pitch. And as Kobe says there, very true. Our new signings outshone the established lads. Completely true. You mentioned Jeremy Frimpong as well. Dangerous crosses, made things happen. I don't know about you, but the more and more I watch Jeremy Frimpong, the more and more I think about Alexander Isak's thinking, why wasn't I getting service? I played more if I'd stayed fit and got fit. Maybe on the slot, everyone else is thinking the same thing as well, but he was dangerous and a threat throughout. And he was taken off, but up until he started to tire a little bit, Milos Kerkez, as it says, did create the most chances, 6 on the pitch today, won 5 out of 7 ground duels, and 100% of his tackles. Now, I've said this before. Liverpool are, for me, a bit of a weak team. And we saw it again yesterday. Let's not lie about what we saw. A few of those players pussied out of challenges that they should be going for. That's the nature of what we've seen largely. But Milos Kerkez, he's a bit wild, of course, but he will throw his head at anything and block things. So I'm never going to hold that against him. I thought yesterday, again, another step for him. Although, I don't know about you. Do you remember that one where he cuts through early? Were you not all just thinking, smash it into the bottom corner, go across the keeper? And he just almost pondered too long or lacked the confidence to do it. That would be the only thing I'd sort of pull him up on yesterday. But a decent all-round performance. Hugo Ekitike, another new signing. Made the goal. That shouldn't be ignored. Chasing down kind of a ball over, cuts inside, gets the byline. He's the one that creates that at the same time as well. So the new boys, a lot to be impressed with from them. And shout out for the super chat there saying, well, I'm on board the criticism Slot's getting. I don't think performance was not completely on him. However, with title credit in the bank from past performances, he's going to have to cop it. Still Slot out. I still think it is on him overall about the lack of patterns of play, cohesiveness, the fact we have become a coin flip as well at the same time. Did he spot the signs well enough as well? Because it was a decent first half, wasn't it? He probably should have been up more. I know Dominic Szoboszlai misses the penalty. You're just thinking, all right, it's good to be up. We deserve to be up. It should just probably be more. Let's make sure we go into the second half in the right way. And we didn't really. It was a poor second half again, wasn't it? And there were warning signs as well. Burnley had that sort of 5-10 minutes before probably 5 minutes, before the goal, where they were really coming back into it. And we just didn't react in the right way. I don't think Slot reacted in the right way either. But he was asked about it in the press conference afterwards. So let's just have a listen to what he said.
I think there was one big warning sign when we almost scored an own goal, and that chance and the goal we conceded came from similar situations where we wanted to try to bring the ball out from the back, and we were caught in possession, and twice it led to a dangerous situation. And I think those were the only moments where we struggled, but that was inside 5 minutes, so it felt like we are having a bit of a more difficult spell in the game.
Yeah, on that, there were warning signs, and a bit of that is on the players because they weren't stepping up. You can't put everything on Arne Slot, but K-Mac puts it there, which I think a lot of us in the stadium were thinking this. They scored, but didn't make subs until the 75th minute. And you could also see the pattern of play as we were starting to tire. Burnley was starting to get a bit of a foothold. You were thinking, yes, the players need to react, but Arne Slot needs to change it at the same time. So poor on all accounts for me. I suppose the other argument is the subs that came on. I thought Rio and Gamoa looked quite lively, tried a few things, but ultimately, didn't really hit the mark. Robbo was a dumpster fire, gave the ball away. Do you remember that one where he kind of just lost his head and ran it backwards 20 yards for a throw-in for them? Nearly got intercepted. Chiesa gave away a stupid foul when you were thinking, just don't foul as the ball goes into the box. So did the subs really impact the game? you can disagree with me, but give me a case or something to the contrary as I'm seeing it in the chat panel there. It's just, yeah, not really sure it worked for any of them, did it? Now, the couple of things that I really want to get into, and I kind of called this bit as it booze breaks and a bit of Burnley, because there's been a lot said about what happened in the ground, the atmosphere, what happened afterwards, the booing and different things. So it's important that we really sort of go into this a little bit. I don't think Arne Slot helps himself with what he said. He didn't help Calvin Ramsey with his comments. That doesn't help himself. And afterwards about the booze, just in case you missed it, his quotes. He was asked about it. Of course, it's right to ask him about it. Yes, in my head, it wasn't a boo. But in my head, it was frustration as well. We are Liverpool, we play against Burnley, and we have to give them credit for how we defended. And he went on a bit there, and I watched the press conference afterwards as well. They were boos. There were boos in the ground. Now, I've seen a few journalists report this today as in boos, and both have used this line. Boos rang out across the ground. That is not true. I was there yesterday for anyone debates that. That is not true that boos rang out across the ground. There were, as at my phrasing, little pockets, smatterings of boos, but there was volume to them, but they died out quite quickly. So he definitely wasn't all sections of the ground either, all four stands. That was not the case. But there were boos. But ringing out round the ground, no, not true. So that's the first thing to say. The second thing, because there's been a lot of discussion, shall we say, or debates around booing. People saying that's not the Liverpool way. That's never been, that's not what we do. It's the boo camp down the road and all sorts of things. And I saw a few tweets on this. And shout out to Stephen Kelly on this, because this is absolutely correct. It's nice to think so, but it's a myth. It's been done plenty of times. We need to be factually correct on what we're saying. There have been boos at Anfield before. I've been in the ground when it's been done. And people are asking, which is fair to say in the chat panel, did I boo? No. I didn't really have the energy to applaud. I won't pretend at the end either, because I was frustrated, but I didn't boo. I don't believe in it. I don't agree with booing. I don't think it helps the team afterwards as well. But I'll defend people's right to do it if they want to pay their money. Again, don't think it's right. I don't agree with it, but people have got a right to do it. And Sean's absolutely right there with what he said. And I've been in the grounds when this has been done. I've heard boos under Roy Evans when I was a kid. I've heard it. We all heard it under Hodgson. It was done under Rodgers. Also, a name missed off there. I've been in the ground when Rafa's teams have been booed as well. So we need to knock it on the head being factually incorrect that it doesn't happen at all. Again, my opinion, it doesn't help anyone. I wouldn't do it. But yeah, let's not pretend, sorry. It's never happened before. That's just a bit of nonsense there as well. The other big thing to call as well is in regards to breaks and the way the team yesterday had a chance to break. And I don't know the exact numbers, I'm lying, but I remember 3 specific occasions now, it's important to say, where Liverpool had, during this game against Burnley, a chance to break quickly onto the opposition. And they didn't. And the 2 occasions I remember specifically, and it's important we say this player, Dominic Szoboszlai, on one with Virgil. Now, the 2 I'm going to say, a reason I'm going to speak about Dominic Szoboszlai is not to attack him at all, but people are like, why is he doing that? Is it under instruction? How does it work? There's maybe some things you sometimes see in the ground that people at home don't. So I actually had a clear view of the dugout yesterday as well from where I was sat. And the 2 times Dominic Szoboszlai broke, or had a chance to break, let me phrase it that way, he didn't. He turned back. And people were saying, is that instruction? Why is he doing that? Having a dig at the player. let's just be clear, because I can see all some nonsense comments about thoughts on it. So I'm going to be dead clear on this and factual. Dominic Szoboszlai didn't start a quick break or turn back, reset, whatever you want to call it. On both those occasions, both times, Arne Slot applauded. That, just to be clear, in case you're not understanding what I'm saying, Dominic Szoboszlai had a chance to break. He didn't. He slowed it down or turned back, reset, however you wish to phrase it. Arne Slot applauded both times. That tells me it's by instruction. It's by design. He's wanting them to reset. You can disagree with it, my opinion. Want him to reset, get into position and build that way. You may see it differently, but I can just be factual on what I saw. Szoboszlai stopped it twice or reset, however you want to phrase it, and Arne Slot applauded both times. Okay? You can take that how you want, but that's just factually correct. So all I can, because I see people talk about that, and I get this as well. It feels like, you know, when Szoboszlai did that, you know, the calm down thing, and he did it a couple of times as well. We can all have our opinions on this, but for me, it's a little bit a case of, is he almost trying to relay the manager's instructions about being calm, factual, whether it's his style, whether it's Dominic Szoboszlai's style, I don't know. But just want to be factual about what I saw in the ground there. Arne Slot applauded Dominic Szoboszlai twice, slowing it down. Okay? It's not part of our style, if you want to, style maybe the wrong word, if you want to call it that at the moment, but Liverpool do not have that element of quick breaking, high tempo when it's on. They don't. And I know people will leather this against him, but there's that famous, what was it, the Jurgen quote of, you know, the best attack is a counter press, whatever it was. I'm not sure it matters too much, but you get the sentiment, don't you? So that's the worry, isn't it? Yeah. In terms of, as well, other styles or other bits coming up on Anfield Index, there's links there with other players. See Bastoni there for the future. The transfers are just a little bit, again, I understand this completely, a massively sensitive topic for everyone at the moment. I get it. We're short of senior defenders. We're short of attacking options. You probably like something in midfield. I get all that. I'm not disagreeing with you. But the smart money right now would indicate that the Reds are not going to do anything in this window. And we don't need to get into Mark Gay, set to be a City player and, you know, the wages and stuff he's going to get, but he's not going to join us. You'll also have seen all the stories about Jeremy Jacquet, won't you? Another player that we know Liverpool have been linked with, looked at heavily, but Chelsea are trying to do a deal now, aren't they? And seem closest for the January window. And I get it. Ibu's likely to be off, isn't it? So we're going to need at least, you know, Joe Gomez in his situation, at least a couple of centre-backs. And yet some of the targets, players that we've been linked with, may well be heading to other clubs. I get it. I get it all. In terms of other things, just to sort of signpost for you a little bit, if you do want to delve down a Liverpool bit or you're steering away from it, I don't know this morning, but this is a really good interview on Sky Sports. I can't play it because we'll get annoyingly shut down and all that type of thing, but someone who smells football, Hugo Ekitike, has done a brilliant brilliant interview even, with Sky about life at Liverpool, as it says, the Champions League ambition. I think he comes over brilliantly in this. I really, really do. It is well worth a watch if you do have 15 minutes as well. In terms of stuff we've served up for you as well, of course, yesterday, the Raw boys did their thing, Gags, the Gags Tandem show afterwards, talking about that with Tadira as well. So well worth a watch, well worth a listen, however you absorb content. Various things that are there for you. Again, though, the way it's going at the moment, I can see some of you mentioned in the chat panel, maybe just steering away from football a little bit at the same time. And chat panel, I am genuinely listening. I always appreciate the comments and the thoughts, but sometimes I am a 43-year-old male and it is a bit quick for me to all keep up with in terms of yesterday, in terms of transfers and all different bits. I can see as well, Cody Gakpo is getting a lot of stick in the chat. Seems to be quite a popular thing as well. How do I see Cody Gakpo's performance yesterday and the way I balance it? I mean, he should have scored. You can argue he had a few off the line, didn't he? From Humphreys, I think a couple of times. I think it was the same players. But again, I think he also blunted attacks. I think both things can be true at the same time as well. So Gakpo would be one to mention. I've talked about Dominic Szoboszlai as well. I think the midfield was pretty pish yesterday. I know Curtis Jones gets an assist, but I didn't really think he had a good game. Again, Ryan Gravenberch, whether by design or not, just wasn't progressive enough at times. It's not the first time we've been saying that. Alexis McAllister, I didn't mention, comes on. It wasn't a big chance, that half volley. I thought he should have done better with it and at least hit the target, though. A man of his quality, maybe more representing how this season's been for him, because it was, again, the existing players rather than the new signings that didn't do that. Now, a few are mentioning this. John's saying there's also talk of Spurs wanting Xabi Alonso. I'm going to answer that for you really quickly, John. It's Spurs. And it's Xabi Alonso. Unless Xabi Alonso is now taking mind-altering substances, he is not going to end up at Spurs. Xabi Alonso seems to be the popular one, and I get all that. I agree with that. I can understand now the case, almost going back to that line from James Pearce in the article for Xabi Alonso. Question is when? We don't know, do we? When does he want to get back into top-level management? Also, the other thing to say now about Xabi Alonso, don't believe just for 1 second we'll be the only ones in the mix. There's other Premier League clubs, Spurs aside, who will be interested in him. There's other clubs on the continent that could come into the mix as well. And even speaking to a few journos and messaging them this morning, don't rule out Xabi Alonso to another Premier League club, is what we're being told. And don't rule out Xabi Alonso to some big European football clubs. Let's put it that way as well. So those are the main headlines. And listen, for me, we've all got opinions about Arne Slot and how it is. This is not a hard luck story for me because I sit in a privileged position. Let me be clear on that. I do go to all the games. I consider that a privilege still. Despite what's being served up, I still do put it just in that column. It is an 8-hour round trip for me. That is not a hard luck story by any means, again, because I consider it a privilege. But at the moment, it's all just hard work. It's all difficult across the board. And I saw this tweet from Nick Collins, who I know does some brilliant work for the Liverpool Disabled Supporters Association. Apologies if I forgot that wrong, that name. But as he tweeted here, I've sat with the same people at Anfield for many years. They never leave early and they at least give it a go, but they've left early every game for the past few weeks. Slot has alienated some fans who always back the team and needs to go. The writing's on the wall. He can't see it. The club needs to. I think that's a pretty fair representation of almost how I'm feeling and how I see things as well. Because I go with to the game with a number of lads, often the same ones. And you do see people leaving early more than ever. You do feel that almost the silence sometimes is deafening in the stadium because I keep seeing nonsense people talking about, the atmosphere and this. Try getting up watching that. Liverpool is an emotional fan base. It's an emotional stadium. There is not a drum banging all the time. It is reactionary. When it's at its best, it's fucking electric. It's not even 5 watts at the moment, is it? So you are feeling that in the stands. And even some guys I go with who, have been going to the match for a long time, and someone call it old school, but I actually really respect it. They've always said that, no, Liverpool's not a club that changed its manager during the season. We back this, and I've got all the respect for that. But even there, you can hear us starting to wobble a little bit now. And even I'm not sure there's too much of a defence for Arne Slot right now. It's mitigation at absolute best. I think that seems pretty unanimous in the fan base. Bishy asked me a question there. Do any of us believe Slot will be in charge next season? I don't think any of us do. I'm not really sure. It just feels like the goodbye. The worry is it the long goodbye? Is there more pain? Everything we're hearing, everything is suggested here at Anfield Index still seems to be, as James Pearce is reporting, he's enjoying the backing. The smart money still says right now that Arne Slot goes until the end of the season, and then he's got a year left to go, and then we'll know what happens as well. Yeah. But the Xabi Alonso figure just looms large over everything right now. And there is just a wonder with you, could that be the deciding factor in all this? Listen, people, I wish I could sort of give you a bit of a G up. I wish I could tell you it's going to get better. But you know what Mick McCarthy said in that famous one? So we've got to prepare for that. Big week coming up as well, isn't it? Marseille away in the Champions League. There's work to be done in that. Bournemouth away 6 days from now. Jesus. Who knows what the short-term future is going to bring? I genuinely don't. But everyone's head's in the clouds a bit with this, isn't it? In the wrong way. You just feel like, is Burnley a good metaphor for what we've seen this season? It does feel like yesterday was just the day where almost brought, in the most negative sense, a unanimity. That word, I'm making it up, but everyone's on the same page in the fan base. But there we go, people. Sunday, the 18th of January, from a tired me who had an 8-hour round trip to see that. That was another Daily Red for Anfield Index.